So leading the question and the eyewitness report. It's a study done by Elizabeth Loftus. So table of contents, it's basically what we're going to go over. We're going to go over the study, why it was important, all that. Dr. Loftus asked the question as wondering, hey, if you change the way you talk to a witness like right after an incident happened, when later on, will it change the outcome of that memory? Kind of like if you see an event, the police officer asks you questions, his wording of those questions, does it actually change the encoding going into your brain? Which then in the long term, you take what he's asked and you kind of mixed it up. The hypothesis is that if you ask a question in such a way, the questioner can actually change how a person remembers an event later on. Dr. Loftus' study is actually made up of 4 different experiments done with students at University of Washington. So experiment 1, this group is shown a video of a car accident. The groups are then broken into 2 different groups. One is asked how fast was the car going when it ran the stop sign. The other group was asked how fast was the car when it made the right turn. Then immediately they were asked in the same questionnaire, did they see a stop sign? Now, out of the people who were asked about how fast was the car going when it ran the stop sign, 53% of those people reported actually seeing a stop sign. The other group, only 35% reported seeing a stop sign. Experiment 2 kind of grows on it. It also grows with the timeline as well. So she shows a video of some demonstrators going into a classroom and making a disturbance. And again, she passes out questionnaires with filler questions and experimental questions. One group is asked, out of the 4 demonstrators, was the leader a male? Group 2 was asked, out of the 12 demonstrators, was the leader a male? Then they turned them in. They went about their business. About a week later, they come back, and then Dr. Loftus asks them, how many demonstrators did you see? So out of the ones that were asked about the 4 demonstrators, they gave a group means of 6.4. Out of the subjects asked about the 12 demonstrators, they gave a group mean of 8.85. Only 10% of the actual both groups gave the correct answer, which was 8. In experiment 3, it kind of grows with experiment 1 with that idea, and it kind of goes with experiment 2 with the timeline. So they're shown a video of a car accident, and then they're broken up into, again, 2 different groups. This time they're asked how fast was the car going when it passed the barn. And in group 2, they were asked how fast was the car going when it drove down the country road. So it kind of sounds familiar from experiment 1. And then a week later, they were called back. Like experiment 2, there was a time passing. And they were asked, did you see a barn? So out of the group that were asked how fast was the car going when it passed a barn, 17.3 actually said yes, that they saw a barn. Only 2.7 of the other group said that yes, they saw a barn. So in fact, there was no barn in the video at all. Experiment 4 is kind of like what explains everything. It kind of gives you meaning to what's going on. So it's the keystone of the whole study. In this experiment, a group of students are shown a video from inside the car as it hits a man pushing a baby. Then instead of breaking up into 2 different groups, they break up into 3 different groups. So group 1 is given filler questions, but they're also given questions about items that were not in the video, such as, did you see the bus? Group 2 was given a booklet full of filler questions and also questions that were about events that did not happen, such as, did you see the little girl getting on the bus? Well, if there was no bus, then this little girl couldn't get on the bus. And then Group 3 was given a questionnaire with filler questions, and then it was asking questions about the video because they're the control group. So when asked a week later, they came back, they were given the booklet from Group 1. So it's about items that were not in the video, like did you see the truck? Did you see the bus? Things like that. So out of Group 1, 15.6% said that yes, they saw the items. Out of Group 2, 29.2% of those members said yes, they saw the items that weren't in the video. And then out of the control group, or Group 3, 8.4% of them said yes, that they saw items that were not in the video. So what does this all mean? How does it all tie together? Let me go over that. So Loftus says that yes, in wording questions right after an event does impact the outcome of recalling the memory at a later, after time has passed, at a later date. So experiment 1 and 3 are kind of the same. You remember seeing something because we told you about it in the questions. So like experiment 1, did you see the stop sign? Well, there was a stop sign. In experiment 3, did you see the barn? Well, there was no barn, but surprisingly, in both of those, there were higher numbers in the people who were asked about it. Experiment 2, it shows that if I put a number in there, you're going to gravitate your answer towards it. Yeah, 10% said the perfect number, but what about the other percent? They gravitated towards their number that they were given. The group that was asked about 4 people, they gravitated with a lower group means. Same thing with 12. They gravitated to a higher group means. In the last experiment, what we see is that we can ask you about things and they may or may not be true, and you have a higher chance because we've asked you right after the event. So after everything's encoding, everything's going into your brain and it's fresh, we can ask you, hey, did you see this? And with the groups that were given these answers a week later, it shows that they could have been wanting to just answer the question, so they're going to give a positive answer, because why would we ask you about items that weren't in the video? So other studies that were done, like Bonham and Gonzalez Vioja, they showed 2 videos. They broke their groups up into 2, and then they gave one group questions and information about the videos that were true. The other side, they were given information that were just false. They were misleading. And then a day later, they came back and they were asked different questions. So a day, Loftus gives them a week. This group gives them only a day. It shows that the group that were giving the misleading information or the false information actually encoded it as true information. So when they were asked to recall it, they recalled this fake information. So in this one, the effects of post-event information on adult eyewitness report, it was kind of a misleading, but yet still kind of got to the point, complicated study. So they brought in a group of people. They told them over the next 3 days, we're going to show you some videos. And day 1, they just rate the videos. They rate the video as, you know, is it a good PSA? It was a little girl who got lost and it was held by a cop and reunited with its parent. Day 2, they asked 6 questions. 2 of them were leading questions about the video that they had seen. 2 of them were misleading questions about the video from the day before. And then the last ones were just fillers. They didn't show them any new videos. Day 3, again, they didn't show them any new video. They're asking questions about the original video on day 1. And they say, hey, 3 days ago we showed you a video. Can you just freely recall what happened in the video? And so they did. After that, they broke them into 2 different groups. One group was given a questionnaire with a right or wrong answer. So did this happen or did this happen? Was this in the video or was this in the video? And then the other group was kind of given the short answers. They were free to recall what they remember. And it shows that the people who were free to recall what they remember didn't incorporate the false information like the people who got to choose the false information. They put a lot of that false information in their memory. So both studies help strengthen Loftus' idea that you can actually influence the development of memories based on the wording of a question given right after an event. So it's kind of like this. It's better to ask an eyewitness what speed was the person moving that you saw versus how fast was that man in the red jacket running. You're going to allow them to pull more on their actual memory than the words that you're putting in, because you're not putting in any information into the question, so you're not putting any new information into the person's mind. So Loftus does have a really good point. You can influence the outcome of a memory recall if, while encoding, you change the questions.